This presentation is intended to explain the differences between the two types of money we need to raise in order to charter Good Neighbors Federal Credit Union. And I think the easiest way to explain this is to speak in terms of balance sheet versus income statement. These are the two main financial documents that we're going to be using. The deposits that we're getting, the money that people are pledging to us from other credit unions and from the members, that is a balance sheet item. Those deposits go on the balance sheet. And the grants that we're applying for, the money that we're asking for that we're not going to pay back, that is an income statement item. So let's go over just what the balance sheet is. The balance sheet is a statement of the credit union's financial position at a point in time. You pick any point in time, this is where we are right now. It has two sides. There's the assets and the liabilities and equity, and they must balance. That's why it's called, a balance sheet. So as a credit union, we are essentially a money broker. We buy money from our members. Here, when we look at deposits, the checking accounts, we're buying that money. We're buying it at cheap rates. We're paying them 0.1% or whatever on the dollar, and then we're selling that money to other members in the form of loans. And then we live off the spread. The money that we're making to keep the credit union growing, that is the difference between the rate that we charge members on their loans and the amount of money that we pay out on the savings accounts. So that's the spread. That's how we make our money. The deposits are on the liability and equity side of the balance sheet. So we have $2 million in deposits. We have to have $2 million in assets, or in this case, 150 and 150. So assets, what are those? That's the furniture, the computer system, the loans, all that stuff. That's assets. So we have to be able to balance that. What is an income statement? So an income statement is kind of like what it sounds like, a statement of our income and our expenses. So it'll show all of the money that we made from all the different sources and all of the expenses that we incurred through normal office operations. Just like a balance sheet has to balance the assets to the liabilities and equity, the income statement, your expenses should not exceed your income. Now, grants and the money that we're getting donated, that is on the income statement. So if we look at the income statement, grant funding, unless we get it to cover our fixed assets, if we get it for computers or furniture or the building or whatever, then it's a balance sheet item. Other than that, it's going to be on our income and expenses because we're using it to cushion us until we can make enough money on our loans to cover our expenses, which will take a long time. Because if you look at this income statement, you're charging what, like 8% on a car loan, so you're not making a ton of money on a car loan if you only have 2 car loans, We see that income kind of just trickles in our operating expenses, the amount of money that you're going to pay the manager, you're going to pay the teller, credit reporting expense to keep your lights on, your rent and all that, that stuff all has to be paid. Now what happens is if we don't have money, we don't have donated money in this other income box, what happens is you have to take the difference out of your undivided earnings, or the money that you have left over that you've been building up. And in the beginning, as a small new startup credit union, you don't have undivided earnings. You don't have money that you have been stashing away for a rainy day. So what that does is it eats away at your equity, and you end up being insolvent, and the NCUA comes in and eats you. I do not want that to happen. So that's why we need to make sure that we have enough grants to cover our expenses for the first couple of years. And that's separate from deposits. So it's not that we're changing the amount of money that we need. We're just changing the way we're thinking about the money that we get.
Created using Powtoon.